United stand and welcome back to the IO Roofscape at the Godfrey Hotel in Chicago. Thank you again for letting us do our live show, which is becoming a bit of a regular occurrence, isn't it? And it was lovely to see the comments as we were starting the show saying that people are enjoying these 8 p.m.-ish lives from Chicago, and people catch them all over the world. We are reading your comments, we are reading your feedback, and we love it because there is still news to cover. Benjamin Sesko looks like he's on his way to Newcastle as they advance in talks, in negotiations for Benjamin Sesko. We've got some news to bring you on that. Also, some really good news around Ollie Watkins as well. I'm going to do a little bit of a preview for the game tomorrow. Super excited for Manchester United to play tomorrow in Chicago. It's going to be really exciting and I can't wait for it. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to preview it. Also, Luke Shaw, if you've not seen it already on the United stand, a really good interview by Luke Shaw. I know a lot of people have been frustrated with his fitness, with his injuries, but it's really worth going giving that a listen. As someone who's been at the club for a very, very long time, his thoughts on Amorim, the impact that Amorim's having, the rules that he's putting in place, his own aspirations, his thoughts that Manchester United currently, where it's at, can win the Premier League. Like, it's really, really worth going and watching that. But it's time to talk about Benjamin Sesko and Ollie Watkins, because this is the words on everybody's lips right now. Everywhere I go, people are saying, Beth, do you want Ollie Watkins or do you want Benjamin Sesko? I mean, we were talking about it this morning. I was talking about it when I met some fans down by the Chicago Fire facilities. I've been talking about it with other journalists, other fan content creators while I've been over here. Watkins and Sesko is the big debate, and I keep seeing people giving very logical arguments for either one. But as you can see by the title, at this moment in time, and it can change, but at this moment in time, it does look like it's beginning to become Watkins or bust. And why is that happening? I will read out the news right now. So, Ben Jacobs, our very good friend, an excellent transfer guru who's been on the United stand multiple times. I'm actually missing doing my interviews with him. I'm going to have to message him and ask him if he's in America at all, or near Chicago or Atlanta at any point, because he loves it. He's always over here, and how cool would it be to do an in-person interview while we're over in the States? That'd be class. So Ben, if you're watching, let's do it. But he has said, he's come out, Newcastle United are in advanced talks with Benjamin Sesko and his representatives on personal terms. The Magpies are now engaged in club-to-club negotiations and are ready to bid. Newcastle are way more advanced on this deal than us, but then that comes back to what Fabrizio Romano has said, and that is Christopher Vivell is pushing hard to bring in Benjamin Sesko at Manchester United. This is what I've heard, being in and around, journalists, being in and around people that have connections to the club. And again, I'm not saying this is the cold, hard truth. I'm not saying believe every word I say. I'm only telling you what I've heard, and what I've heard might be wrong, but this is what I've heard while I've been on tour and speaking to people in and around the club. I'm not saying that it is absolute 100% truth, but this is what I've heard. I have heard that Christopher Vivell is massively pushing for Benjamin Sesko. Benjamin Sesko has been well scouted at the club for over 3 years. He's nearly joined the club twice before, and Christopher Vivell knows the player really well from his time over at Leipzig and the Red Bull Group. He knows the player, he really likes him, he backs him. He's now working in the hierarchy at Manchester United, and he is pushing Benjamin Sesko. Ruben Amorim has been extremely clear that he wants Premier League proven players. It's exactly why we went for Cunha, and it's exactly why we went for Mbeumo. He wants players that have already shown the physicality and the talent and the level to produce numbers and produce a good level of football in the Premier League. So his priority right now is Ollie Watkins. And then you can kind of infer from there what's going on. Manchester United have a limited budget. To do any of these deals, we have to sell Alejandro Garnacho. That deal's currently ongoing. He's waiting for Chelsea. He doesn't care about the money Manchester United get in for him. He's just waiting for Chelsea. Chelsea are currently playing hardball and apparently value him at 30 million, even though I think they paid about 51 for Jamie Gittins, who isn't Premier League proven, hasn't done it in the Premier League, is at a similar age to Alejandro Garnacho and has similar numbers. So even though they've produced similar numbers, if I'm not mistaken, actually, I'm pretty sure Alejandro Garnacho has better numbers, and he's not even done it in the Premier League yet he's worth 51 and Alejandro Garnacho's worth 30. Come on. Chelsea, you've had us for a laugh before, don't do it again. Like, they've had our number before, Chelsea, and Garnacho wants to go there. I said it on my show yesterday. He's going to wait till the last minute to push through that Chelsea move. It's just whether United get the mick taken out of them on that deal or not. But back to my Ollie Watkins and Benjamin Sesko point, and I'll let the comments come in a second because we all have our opinion on this. Manchester United, under their new regime, don't want to pay 50 to 60 million on a player that's going to be 13 December. They just don't want to pay it. They just don't. And I can understand why they don't. It is too much money for a player of that age. It is. But also at the same time, Benjamin Sesko's coming in at around 70 million right now, and they're going to have to act quickly on that. They don't have the luxury of waiting around, because Newcastle are deep into negotiations now. They're agreeing personal terms. They can't wait around. They would have to jump in to that Benjamin Sesko deal. And they trust Christopher Vivell. He's done a really good job at Manchester United so far. They want to back him, but again, it's a lot of money to spend on a player that is going to be a huge risk. And despite, I've seen the compilation clips of Benjamin Sesko. I've watched the player play. He's got brilliant attributes. His height is exciting. The way he can strike the ball is exceptional. He's really got a lot to be excited about. He's got a lot of potential, he really has. And potential to work in the Premier League too. And he's got quite a bit of experience for his age in the Champions League. However, and of course, there is situations where players do work out. Erling Haaland, Alexander Isak, the list can go on. But how many times have players come to the Premier League with a glowing reputation, a lot of excitement around them, and it's not worked out? Everyone thought, do you remember that summer when Liverpool and Manchester City bought Darwin Núñez and Erling Haaland, and everyone said, who's going to score more goals this summer, who's going to be the better signing? Everyone was having genuine debates about it, and they played each other in the Community Shield, I'm pretty sure, and Haaland missed a few sitters and Darwin Núñez scored, and everyone was like, oh, Darwin Núñez might be the guy to put in FPL, I think he's going to smash it for Liverpool. No, I don't think Darwin Núñez is that bad of a player, to be honest with you. I don't. I think, unfortunately for him, the one fundamental you need as a striker is to be able to put the ball in the back of the net, and, you know, he doesn't always manage to do it. He's got other attributes, but Erling Haaland absolutely blows him out of the water. Everyone thought Darwin Núñez, just give him a bit of time, he's going to be a great striker of the Premier League. And let's be honest, considering the hype around him and the money that Liverpool bought him for, he has flopped in the Premier League. I still think there's a player in there, but he's not lived up to the expectation that we thought he was going to. Cunha, coming out of Germany. Everyone thought Cunha was the guy. He nearly went to Liverpool, then Chelsea managed to get him. Everyone thinks Chelsea's got an absolute gem. Okay, yeah, he's been hindered by injuries. But everyone thought he was going to go and rip up the Premier League, and he's not managed to get going. Like, players can have excellent reputations and everyone thinks they're going to be the next star, but it doesn't always translate to the Premier League. We were speaking to Arojo, the Bournemouth right back, the other day in the mix zone, and he said the Premier League is just a different kettle of fish. It's so different. You have to be on your A game 24/7. It's hard to adapt to. It's the toughest league in the world. And sometimes people think the English are quite big-headed by saying that. Of course, there's fantastic teams all over Europe. Real Madrid, PSG, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, the list can go on, but the Premier League is extremely tough. The style of football that's played here is tough, and not every player can adapt. Benjamin Sesko might go to Newcastle and tear it up. Benjamin Sesko could have gone to Arsenal and done absolutely fantastically well. But do Manchester United have the time to wait for him to develop? And also, even if he does develop and become absolutely unreal, with Manchester United right now, can they afford to take the risk on one of the most important positions in the team that we have got wrong multiple times before? I think it's extremely risky, especially considering what we've done in previous transfer windows. However, I know a lot of you would prefer Sesko. I think I was watching a show with Goldbridge, I can't remember which one it was. The time zones are different, and he was saying, I think the chat had like 74% said Sesko over Watkins. I'm team Ollie Watkins, I'm going to be honest. I don't want to take the risk. I feel like the people right now that want to go for Sesko, they're the ones that are like they're up in the casino, they've got a lot of chips to play, and they think, sod it, put it all on black or put it all on red. Let's try and bring home the money, let's try and win big. But the people that are going for Watkins are like, you know what? It might not be the most I can get right now. It might not be the highest of winnings, but it's better than what I had when I walked in here, and I'm going to take that. I'm going to run with it. It boosts the bank account. I can probably have a few nice nights out while I'm out here. Can go and do the helicopter tour of the Grand Canyon. Like, we're sailing. But there's two different types of people here. Like, the ones that will settle for the improvement, will settle for what they could potentially get, that they know is there and is certain, and that is Ollie Watkins. He's Premier League proven. We know he can do it. He's been around the block. I think he'd suit an Amorim system. I won't go into detail how, because I've said it a million times before. Benjamin Sesko is, let's put it all on black and see if we can bring home the big bucks. That's going to be life-changing, because I think he's 22 years old, and the attributes he's got, it could be unreal. But everyone was saying that about Højlund. People have said that about other players in the past. It doesn't always translate. So what I'm saying to you is that's why I'm Team Watkins. And it's looking more likely to be Watkins anyway, because Newcastle are advancing, and I don't think United are in the position to move in on that deal and offer the money that Leipzig want for him, unless they sell Garnacho, and Garnacho's waiting for Chelsea, and that could run right into the last week of the window. That's why Amorim sort of kind of digged them out a little bit in his press conference by saying, look, you're not going to get a cut price deal. You want to play in the World Cup, we're happy to keep you here, and you're not going to play because there's now Cunha and Mbeumo in your positions. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out. Also, just on the back of that, I'm going to bring in a little bit of news about Watkins, which could be a benefit to us. We thought the price was going to rule us out, but there's been a few murmurs, there's been a few rumblings that Aston Villa might go a little bit cheaper. Does that change your mindset? Get in the comments down below. Also, just while we're here, before I come to your comments, I need to give another big thank you to the IO Roofscape in Chicago at the Godfrey Hotel. Just a fantastic backdrop, and they're the reason that we get to come live to you guys, bring you the news, bring you the opinion, and excellent service. Me and Ryan, after the show last night, as promised, we went into I might post a little bit of on socials actually, stay tuned on my socials. We went into the rooftop bar. We had Jameson and Diet Coke, and then I also had my first ever old fashioned, and it was very, very nice. Very, very nice. Highly, highly, highly recommend. What's your drink of choice, everyone? What's your drink of choice? Doesn't have to be alcoholic either, but when you're out on tour all day, it hit 30, I think it hit 35 degrees today. Hit 35 degrees. I was there interviewing Luke Shaw. I was like, like trying to interview him as he was absolutely boiling hot, but he was brilliant. Obviously, so grateful for these opportunities. He's absolutely fantastic. But when you're out the door at like 8 a.m. for open training, then you've got to go back for the interview, like you're on your feet all day, then going shooting some content, shooting fan content, and then you're back doing a live show at 8 p.m. Sometimes you need a little something to take the edge off. Not everyone does, what floats your boat. Some people might want like a little ice cream to take the edge off. Some people might have something else. I'm not judging, Everyone's got something different. But it was really nice to kind of have that drink up here and just kind of relax after the full days, because there's a lot that goes into it that people don't know about. The editing. The editing takes a long time, behind the scenes, the graphics. We have a brilliant team at home that's helping us as well. I would give a shout out to all of them. The team on the ground in the studio are fantastic, but obviously producing the content from the studio, helping out with Mark shows. But yeah, it's sometimes a little relaxation at the end of a day is helpful. I don't really drink that much when I'm at home, to be honest with you. I don't when I'm on tour anyway, but sometimes it's nice just to have a little bit of something to enjoy yourself. Not that you have to have it to enjoy yourself. I'm going into a spiral now about the drinks, but anyway, let's move on to some of your comments before I bring in the Ollie Watkins price tag. Aidan says Long Island iced tea. Long Island iced tea. Oh, I've got a story. Does anyone want the Long Island iced tea story? I've had Long Island iced tea once and once only, and it did not end well. They are absolutely lethal. Nobody told me there's about 4 different types of alcohol in them. I had a sip of it. I love it. I love a Diet Coke, mate. I love the drink Coke, the Diet Coke, and anything with that in it. I'm always there, like a Jack Daniel's Diet Coke, a Jameson Diet Coke. I'm not an alcoholic, guys, I promise you. It's just like a one-off thing. In Long Island iced teas, I was like, you know what? Someone recommended it. I was like, I'll have a bit of that. And next thing you know, this. Anyway, story over. We have Cameroon Mello O'Connor saying, I agree, Beth. Sesko is a major risk. Watkins would be more ideal. Watkins will give us goals and assists and will have a point to prove. United. I agree with you. I also think his work ethic can't be underrated as well. He's got brilliant work ethic. And every time I see him speak in an interview, he seems very humble, got the right attitude, which is what Ruben Amorim's extremely focused on right now. Neil Lesso replied to that saying, no disrespect, but do not cry when he gives you one season at best and you are unable to replace him in a year or two. That's why I'm saying the price has got to be a little bit lower. That's why the price has got to be a little bit lower than 60 million for sure. We have, someone says, why did she say sell instead of settle? I don't know what, are you in terms of my Garnacho comments or the Watkins comments? I'm not sure, but I don't think going for Watkins is settling. I think Garnacho, we are going to have to settle on a price for sure, but that's because it's gone deep into the window now and everyone kind of knows, you know, that we don't want him going into next season. Well, Amorim doesn't for sure anyway. We also have Citrus Fruit says champers. That's Sir Jim's favourite drink. That's what he'll be drinking on the rooftop at IO Roofscape in Chicago for sure. Champers. Do you know what? I had a period where I was just saying champers at literally absolutely everything. Yo Mama says, don't mind either Sesko or Watkins, but giving examples of Nunes and Nkunku to discredit Sesko signing is laughable when we brought Premier League experience that didn't work out, like Alexis, Lukaku, Mount. Really good super chat, and you know what? I enjoy these super chats because it's a debate, and I think that's a really good point to make. So thank you for bringing that in. On that, I'm not saying Sesko will be a Nunes or Nkunku, but they're the risks that you take. I also stated that other players have worked out, and Alexis Sanchez was absolutely brilliant in the Premier League. Obviously, it just Manchester United, it was quite a disruptive period of time that he came in at, and it was the wrong decision to make. We bought him just so City couldn't get him, and you should never do a deal because of that reason. Lukaku, I actually thought was decent in periods, but again, through watching him in the Premier League, you kind of knew it was never going to be an absolutely elite signing. And I still believe that Mount is a good player, but injuries have massively hindered his career. And I think this is what has put Manchester United off in the past. We have bought Premier League players, but we've bought the wrong ones. Like, it's as simple as that. Look at Caicedo at Chelsea. Look at Declan Rice at Arsenal. Look at, Ake at Manchester City. Other players they've brought in there, they've just gone and got Trafford. I wonder how he'll be like in goal. Other Kyle Walker, they brought him in from the Premier League. Like, top teams have gone and bought Premier League players, and it's massively paid off for them. Look at Liverpool, what they did with Mane, Van Dijk. Like, they've done that as well. They've gone European this year. Liverpool, they've gone into the market, but they've gone and got the best European talents that there are that have got a lot of experience in them leagues. And European players, this is what I mean when sometimes people take your words out of context. They absolutely can work out. Look at Bruno Fernandes. We got Bruno Fernandes from Sporting, and it's the best signing that we've had in at least a decade. At least, if not even further than that. Like, they can work out, but Man United, what I'm trying to say, in this moment in time, maybe next year, if we've got a flowing team and we're doing better and we're improved and we don't need as many reinforcements, absolutely you can afford to gamble on this type of player who could be absolutely elite and is really exciting. But I'm talking about Manchester United's current position. Currently, we don't have a big cash flow. We're struggling to bring in the money to be able to get a striker in the first place. It's a big, big risk. When Manchester United, it has to pay off. This signing, the striker signing, has to be a success. It has to be. So sometimes you've got to walk before you can run. Is Ollie Watkins and Isak, is he a Haaland? No. But we're currently in 15th, and he gets you competing in the top 6, in my opinion anyway. And then during that period where he gives you 2 to 3 years, you start to move up the table, you start to compete, and then when we're in that position, we're getting money in from hopefully European football, you can then kick on. Either Højlund or Obi's ready, fingers crossed, but I know not a lot of people are thinking that's going to be the case, and it probably won't be the case. Like, we'd like it to be, but if it's not, you then go into the market and get the next Sesko, Ekitike, Isak, one of them players when United have climbed, because I doubt we're going to go from 15th to 1st in one season. I think everybody doubts that. Luke Shaw said he thinks this squad's capable of it, but I think a lot of people struggle to see that with the amount of competition in and around the Premier League. So, you know, taking them steps up is what's really important, and I do think Watkins gives you that. You've also got in the room here, Man Utd Philosophy says, Beth, for me, it's about which one we can get for the right price. Watkins for 45 or Sesko for 60 million max. I think that's a great chat. And Euro, and I've done the Yo Mama one as well. Thank you very much for that. Well, that brings me on to what I wanted to bring in. There has been a few mumblings. Laurie Whitwell and Chris Wheeler have both said that they think Ollie Watkins may be able to be done between the 40 to 45 million mark. And Ben Jacobs said Ollie Watkins is very open to joining Manchester United. Sources close to Aston Villa hint that an offer of 50 million may stand a chance, especially if he pushes for the move. So you're thinking 60, and then suddenly, as the transfer window starting to progress and Benjamin Sesko's come on the horizon, it's kind of sort of being put out there that Watkins wants to join us, which we've always kind of known that he would be definitely open to the move of Manchester United. But the most important thing is the prices come from 60 to some murmurs even around 40. Now, if it's Sesko for 70 mil or Watkins for 45, I'm going for Watkins, like I am. That's another keeper. That's money towards a midfielder. And in my opinion, you can justify the risk of not having too many years out of Watkins for £45 million. I think you can justify that. So it is dependent on the price as well. I'd be very shocked if Sesko goes for less than 65 million. I don't think he'll go for less than 70, and that's a lot of money to spend. It's a lot of money to spend, and I don't think United right now are in the position to do that. But if he came in, don't get me wrong, I'd be very happy about it. I'd get behind him. I'd hope to God it worked out. I think he's absolutely got the potential there. But I'm just thinking from a logical point of view for Manchester United right now. We also have CK Win saying Prem proven doesn't always work. Torres Chelsea, Torres Liverpool. Yo Mama also says, I think with Cunha and Mbeumo signings, we can afford Sesko signings to be around those Premier League experienced players, plus Bruno and Ahmad, but I also don't mind Watkins. I really get your point. And I do think Højlund and Sesko are different players. I do, so I don't want to put them in the same box. But do you think Højlund could be our solution this year then, because he's now got Cunha and Bruno and Mbeumo behind him? I think it helps him. I think you're onto a good point, but I don't think the majority of our viewership and the majority of United fans would be comfortable if United go into the season and hoping Højlund's going to do the business. Højlund was brought in, to be a prospect, to be, a young striker with a lot of talent to come in, and I think it's a lot to put on a young player's shoulders to carry that burden, to be that number 9. Okay, Cunha and Mbeumo are going to provide goals, yeah, but imagine them two with another Premier League proven goal scorer who literally had over 30 goal contributions in the Premier League last season, and then the season before that had brilliant statistics as well. Like, he's done it year upon year, so it's just something to think about. I mean, I saw something today, and get your thoughts in on this. I saw some hot takes, and I think it was Ollie, a Crystal Palace fan, on TikTok. I saw it, and he said that he thinks that Manchester United don't need a striker because he thinks Xerxes has shown some real promise, and he thinks Højlund has got attributes that can develop with the likes of Cunha and Mbeumo behind him. Do you agree? I mean, I've said for the last 2 days that I absolutely do believe we need a striker. I'd welcome Watkins in with open arms. I'd understand if we got Sesko, and I'd back him, and I'd be excited for it. But my priority would be an absolute elite midfielder, because I think you've still got goals in that team, and I think the midfield is the spine of a team, and games are won and lost there, and we're light in that area. So it's interesting to see people's thoughts on Xerxes and Højlund, because sometimes they go under the radar, but if you're saying Sesko can work with them behind him, can a Xerxes work with an Mbeumo and Cunha behind him? Can Højlund actually maybe step up? I mean, based off last season, Xerxes really did come good towards the end of it. Højlund was a shadow of himself. That'd be a huge risk. But is it one that Manchester United could gamble on? Maybe. We also have Abdi saying the story around the striker is almost overtaking the goalkeeper situation, which is as worse as not bringing a striker. Sir Dave says, we can't afford Sesko. Let's get Watkins on a 3-year deal. Then Obby can learn from an experienced player, and hopefully Obby will be ready to go. In a dream world, it doesn't always work out like that, but in a dream world, that'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? I don't think Watkins would accept a 3-year deal. I think you'd have to give him I think you'd have to give him probably like at least a 4-year deal, at least. But let's see. Maybe he would on a higher wage. On a lower wage, it might go to a 4-year deal. I think it'd have to be at least 4, and I wouldn't even be surprised if it was 5. And I think that's why Ineos are reluctant to do it. I still think, at 35, players can do it in the Premier League. I really do. I think 30 is the new 27, 28. I think players are getting healthier, fitter, the facilities are better. So let's see. But that is the striker talk at the moment. Right, now I want to preview the game that we have got tomorrow at the Soldier Field in the Premier League Summer Series. So let me get up the Manchester United team. I'm pretty sure I could name it, to be honest with you. But let me get up the Manchester United team that played the game against West Ham, because I want to go through it and talk about if we'd make any changes for it. What I will say is I'm super excited to play Bournemouth. Like, I really am. We spoke to Areola today, brilliant manager of Bournemouth, and we saw them training. What I will say is when I watched a little bit of the Bournemouth-Everton game in the MetLife, because that was on before our game, Semenyo looks serious, and Bournemouth beat Everton, and they beat him quite comfortably. Semenyo looks... He looked top draw in person, and he was top draw last year, so he's one to watch out for. And Bournemouth are a very, very, very good Premier League side. They've got a fantastic manager, and they always get the better of us. Like, they literally always get the better of us. So that's going to be a great test, and for that reason, I would play the exact same starting 11 as we did against West Ham, because I think that's the best Manchester United have played in a good while. I thought you could see the counter-pressing, I thought you could see the pressing, I thought the midfield was probably the most balanced we've had in a very long time. I thought Cunha and Bruno worked together really well, tracking back, defending and ball winning in front of Man Utd and Ugarte. They were doing exactly what Amorim wants from a number 10s, being aggressive through the lines, pressing. I thought, a lot of people were saying we don't see enough of Ahmad at wing back. I'd like to see him again at wing back in that team, because I think that's going to be his predominant position next season. And people will forget that he literally scored a goal that was ruled offside, where I'd have to watch it back, but VAR wasn't in place. Like, people might say you didn't see him, he scored. He's going to get in a lot of great areas of the pitch, coming and making them driving runs from the right-hand side. I think Amorim knows what he's doing with that wing-back spot, and, if you're going to play a back 5, you don't want to be if you're going to play a back 3 and then wing-backs, you don't want to be playing a flat back 5. You want to have at least one of the wing-backs as a winger, and I think Ahmad will thrive there. Based on Mbeumo's recent interviews, I think he's ready to play there if needs be as well, and I think because of his defensive contributions, he easily could. Amorim's already said we're not going to see Mbeumo tomorrow, but we'll see him against Everton, so that kind of rules him out. Xerxes still not training with the team, Mazraoui's still out, Anana's still out. So I'd go with the exact ssame team, to be honest with you. Bayindir in goal, because if Anana isn't back, he's probably going to start the season unless we sell him and get Larmans in, so that's kind of just switches Larmans out. Your back 3, I thought Lenny Yoro was fantastic at right-sided centre-back. I thought De Ligt was absolutely top draw. Aiden Heaven was a little bit shaky. Bowen did have him a few times, I'm going to be honest, as much as we all love Aiden, and I still think it's absolutely elite signing, £1 million. I think the way he runs forward with the ball, his technical ability on the ball, and how he broke through last season was fantastic. But Bowen is one of the best forwards in the league, and he had him on toast a few times. I'd probably still start him, but if you wanted to start another left-sided centre-back, I could kind of understand that. You never know, he might start Luke Shaw, but I would probably still go with Aiden Heaven on that left-hand side, give him another go in that back 3, considering I'm going for the exact same team against West Ham. I think it would be unfair just to maybe change one player out. My midfield, I'd go with Mainu and Ugarte again. Like I said, I think it's our most balanced midfield, and I'd love to see him play there again against a Bournemouth side that are absolutely top draw, in my opinion. Yes, they've lost a lot of big players, but they've still got some great players in there. They've got the Semenyos, they've got the Cliverts, they've got good players, and they've got a good coach. So I'd like to see him in there and see how they do. And then I'd go Dorgu at left wing back. I think he's looking brilliant so far on tour. He's looking like he's really kicking on. If you didn't catch our interview with him, make sure you go and look at it. He said confidence is going to be a big turning point for him this season, and I think that a big season is coming for him. Cunha and Bruno, who really do seem like they're developing a massive bromance. We've had a few clips go on at our socials, and when you're watching all of open training, when you're watching them interact, when you're watching the team on a regular basis like we are, you see it. And that's something that really impressed me about Cunha, by the way. I've watched a couple of open trainings now, and I kind of see them interacting as a team. Even though he is a new player, he is extremely vocal. He's competitive in training. He's not afraid to speak up. Today he was, really giving it, even in the rondos, because I think he was pretty certain that, I think it was Cobby who touched the ball. He pushed him back into the middle and was like, I swear you touched it, like so vocal. Him and Bruno have been having like a little bit of banter, like pushing and shoving, but banter-wise. I really do think like them two have got a bromance that's developing. I think they've got the same sort of fiery attitude of wanting to win, but also super humble, and both very talented and can work well together. Like, they're both fighters, they're both winners. That's what I've seen. Obviously, I've got to wait for the season to start, but I think a lot of people were worried about Cunha because of his fiery side and, his red cards for Wolves in the past. Maybe a lot of things have been brought out of context with him. But I think Cunha looks like he's got that fire in his belly to go and win at the top level. And he seems super nice. He's always interacting with fans, always stopping to sign stuff, always smiling. I'm excited for Cunha. I really am. And Mbumo seems pretty quiet, but that's his personality. And I still think Mbumo, everyone's got different personalities. And Mbumo seems super humble. Amrim's bigged him up. He's rejected Champions League clubs for us. Like, them two signings I am excited for. I wish we were seeing Mbumo, but I don't know if we. I know we're not going to tomorrow because Amrim said it, unless something's changed. But we will get to see him against Everton, which is something to look forward to. And then you've got to go with Højlund up front, maybe Obi, but I think Højlund deserves to get another start there after. Okay, you might say I'm clutching at straws, but there was absolutely no doubt in my mind that he had improved in that West Ham game. He gave the centre-back something to think about. His pace and his athleticism seemed like it was right up there. He also looked very sharp, and he was very close to scoring a good goal, and he needs a goal for confidence. So I think I'd go with Rasmus, but I'd bring Obi on pretty soon and give him a bit of a go as well. But I think Rasmus started that West Ham game pretty well. He did fizzle out, but it was improvements compared to what we saw last season, which was basically like playing with a ghost up front, and he just seemed void of any confidence. He seems like he's really trying to make the best of this pre-season. Today he was in good spirits with the kids and playing with them, playing football with them at the Chicago Fire pitch. And most importantly, in the West Ham game, I do think he looked a lot sharper, looked a lot more confident, and he was giving the defenders a problem, which is something he's been criticised for before, not being able to do that against Premier League defenders. And that's the good thing about playing a summer series, is you are going to go up against Premier League players. Bournemouth for another great test. And I think Manchester United, if they play that team, I think we should come through it with a win, despite how good Bournemouth have been. But I'm not even bothered about the result. I want to see how we fare against that Bournemouth side, because Bournemouth consistently have our number, and no matter what players they sell, they've consistently been a very good Premier League side with a manager that knows his stuff. So that'll be interesting, that'll be exciting. Let me see what you guys are thinking in the comments. Højlund definitely better last game, says Nomad Joe. S. Madison says Højlund is done. A lot of people will think that, and I can understand, because I was tearing my hair out with him last season. But at this moment in time, it doesn't look like he's going. So what's our alternative? Constantly put him down when we need him to score goals, or try and get behind him and hope he can do something. There was improvements in the West Ham game. I'm going to try and choose to look at them positives and hope he can kick on against Bournemouth. Like, that's all you can do really right now. But you can't force him out the door. You can't put him on a jet to Italy and say, make your move. Like, we've got to wait and see how the transfer window plays out. Wildfor says, I'm not that worried about the midfield now after seeing Man Utd and Ugarte. There is always those two options. We should go for a striker. Yeah, but one gets injured and the balance is completely off. Plus, they're both young players. You don't want to run them into the ground. However, we've only got one game a week, which could play into our favour. But also, again, it's just one pre-season game. You don't want to get too carried away. I still think we need a midfielder to just give it a bit of depth there. Cornetto says, by the time Sesko will be adjusted, we'll be challenging for the league. But we need to get in a position to challenge for the league, and for that you need to bring in players who are ready now, like a Watkins, and to get to that level where you can afford to take a few risks on players. And how good would it be to bring Sesko into a team that is of the same standard as a Liverpool or an Arsenal, where literally imagine if your Gyökeres going into Arsenal now, and I know a lot of people are hoping he's going to flop, or a lot of people think he's going to flop, mainly because they're just disappointed that we didn't get him. Let's see what happens with Gyökeres. I think his goal record was absolutely sensational, and I'm not going to be bitter about that. But like I said, adjusting to the Premier League is always going to be difficult. But if you're Gyökeres going into the Arsenal team, it's a completely different kettle of fish to walking into the United team. Arsenal have got everything apart from a striker right now. Obviously, they've got a couple of adjustments that they could make, maybe a couple of fullbacks. They've gone in for Zubimendi, which I think is a really good signing. But their team's ticking, they're creating chances. Everyone said they just need a striker to put the ball in the back of the net. Like, they need that lethal striker. So you come in, you've got chances on a plate, the whole team's settled. At United, coming in, if you're a Sesko, if I have no doubt if Sesko went to Arsenal, because we're very close to getting him, he'd be firing away. But you come into United, the team's just come 15th. We're not yet at a point where we're regularly winning games, regularly creating chances, have some consistency. We're still trying to get ourselves together. It's very, very difficult to come into that environment and hit the ground running when the team isn't all on the same wavelength yet. And Amram's working towards it, but that's why you get that experienced player to come in and get us to that point before you introduce young potential players who, you know, would work so much better and have much a better chance of success if they were coming into a established team with senior players in it that can guide them. And, you know, there's going to be players there that kind of pick up the pace and pick up the workload. It's like going into Man City. When Man City are flying, okay, they had a bit of an off-season, but when they're flying, if you come in and you don't do very well, no one's that bothered because the rest of the team's going to pick up the slack for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, Doku came in, he can have a few bad games because there's other players there that are going to score the goals and going to do the business. Same with Savinho. At United, you come in, all eyes on you, you have to perform because not many other players are there doing the business and people looking at you because you're the new signing. Remember that year when Garnacho and Manu had to step up massively and the youngsters had to step up massively because, you know, nobody was really turning up to the plate apart from Bruno, who's always kind of been there. So that's the kind of difference in that sense. And I'm hoping this year we really see a team, that's what Luke Shaw was speaking about, a team that's together, that is regularly creating chances, is defending well together, is keeping clean sheets, and we really do see that consistent improvement. But look everyone, it's been a great show. There's been some great comments, there's been some combative comments, you know, coming back at me, and I love that. I know there's a big debate on Sesko and Watkins right now. I encourage it, I really do. It's good to have that talk. We're a community and your voice is as important as mine, for sure. Yo Mama says, to be fair, Beth, Højlund signing, I was on the edge because little experience he played beforehand, gave him a chance though. Sesko is more polished and more experienced. By the way, great interview with Arojo. Thank you very much, really do appreciate that. It's over on That's Football socials. And also, I do agree that Sesko is more experienced and more polished than Højlund. Højlund had played half a season in Serie A at that point. I get that, but it's still a risk. It still is. I still think it is. But I hope if we get him, he'd come content to you guys. And like I've said on every single one of our shows, we love the feedback, we love the interaction, and we want to get everyone from all over the world, every part of this community's voice heard, and we want to be doing shows at all times of the day, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant to tune into this audience, and I feel like we've got a good little close-knit audience going now for these shows, and I don't want to lose them when we go back to the UK. We have Andres Gomez says, hey Beth, hope you're well. Hope we actually get Sesko. He'd be wonderful in my opinion, but I think he'll go to Newcastle. I think he'll go to Newcastle too. I think Newcastle are going to have way more money to throw at it in selling Isak. Isak wasn't even part of their shirt campaign. He's gonna go. Liverpool are going to give him over 100 mil, I think, and they can just sweep in there straight away. And it guarantees Sesko. Is Sesko going to want to wait around, even if he does prefer Manchester United, which I genuinely believe he does, based off a lot of things I've heard. I think he would, based off a lot of things I've heard. I think he would choose United over Newcastle. But is he going to wait around to see if we can afford him if we get rid of Garnacho, when there's a move to the Premier League right there where he's going to start straight away? I think Newcastle will end up getting him. But look guys, get your comments in. We'd love to hear from you and let us know your thoughts. Let's see how this plays out. Any breaking news will be with you. Smash a like on the video. Thank you for watching, and thank you to the IO Roofscape at the Godfrey Hotel in Chicago for another fantastic show, a fantastic setting, and let's hope Manchester United give us another good performance tomorrow.